Are you guys worried about Aaron Rodgers like I am?
Every day I worry about him.
I I feel like this is none of my business. I'm just going to come right out and say that on the front end. I feel like involving myself in his personal relationships and engagement and possible secret marriage is none of my concern, right? I'm a little worried though, because there was an interview with Shailene Woodley where she said she had not watched a football game before meeting Aaron Rodgers. And I find that impossible to believe. Did you not have PE class? Like, you never seen the Super Bowl? Like, have you not seen football before Aaron Rodgers? And furthermore, like, do you not shop for insurance? Like, you've never seen State Farm commercials? I feel like maybe he surrounds himself with people that, not him in particular, but like it's hard for like celebrities and people of note to not be surrounded by people that like know them for what they do and like just fawn over them, right? But I feel like this might be an overcorrection, right? Like you have to have seen football before Aaron Rodgers, right?
She was like a child star, Billy. I could actually believe this. She grew up in California and was acting from a young age. She was probably very into like the
No.
musical theater acting lifestyle. Didn't have a lot of time to watch the Super Bowl. I believe it.
I mean, Greece, do they not have a football team in the high school where Greece takes place? Like, I'm sorry. I find it impossible to believe. And also, like, let's say you're 29 or whatever age she is, right? And you just come upon football right away. Do you like look at it like in awe, like, oh my God, like what are they doing over there? Like that ball that's shaped weird. Like, wow, look at the coordination. Like, explain this to me. Like, you just come upon football and you didn't know that this was going on and that your boyfriend slash fiance slash husband is like great at it.
The quote is, I don't know him as a football guy. I know him as like the nerd who wants to host Jeopardy. That's the dude I know. And I heard a caged chicken, a muffled fraud from a caged chicken back there somewhere. And I see that Whittingham wants to get in on the fun. I also don't know where Stugotz is. He was counting his money the first hour and now he's just simply left, maybe just pleased with himself because he invented that a pirate kicked a baseball on a play we were talking about against his team.
I feel like there's a little Stugotz in Woodley. She could have just said, oh, I'm not a big football fan, but she flew by and she's like, never seen a game, never even seen a football before in my entire life.
Took a lie 3 steps too far. How is it even you mentioned a child star? There's no universe that you can live in. I understand if she's from Australia, that's one thing. But an American born actress was never around a Super Bowl party ever once. That's impossible. It is impossible to have gone through life, be in your 20s, and have never been invited to a Super Bowl party, never been near a Super Bowl party, and even at a Super Bowl party where people aren't caring about football. There's always the one play where everyone turns around like, oh yeah, football, and they go back to what they were doing otherwise. Like, there is not a universe in which an American-born child could not have experienced a football game once.
I also kind of question, and again, this isn't our place to do, but now that we're here, I kind of question the whole, I know him as like this nerdy Jeopardy guy. Like, where in Hollywood circles are you hanging out where there's just nerdy Jeopardy people that have access to you? Because the people that have access to you in Hollywood are football players, okay? Like, we're not going somewhere where it's like, oh, here's the Jeopardy section of this party. That's not how this goes when you're on a list and stuff like that. It's NFL players, it's professional athletes, it's Hollywood stars. Were you at like an agency party? Do you guys have the same agent? And you're like, oh, well, how did you get in? It's like, well, I just really like Jeopardy, so they let me into this big Hollywood soiree.
That's not true, Billy. Like, actresses and actors hang out with other artists. Like, they hang out with musicians, like costume designers, painters, like all types of different artists. They don't just hang out with like Jared Goff at a party. That's not what these parties are like. They're all in like this. They're in a scene. That's why it's called like a scene. You know, like scene.
But Ken Jennings is not an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jeopardy.
Aaron Rodgers isn't Ken Jennings.
The Jeopardy category had one person in it for 45 years, and they're trying to replace him now. Like, there is not all these Jeopardy hosts around because there is only one Jeopardy host.
If Ken Jennings was built like a football player and looked like Aaron Rodgers, he might be invited to these parties. Aaron Rodgers also hangs out with other actors and actresses. Like, he's got connections. That's how he gets to the parties. Not just because he's a football player. Like,
Wait,
Well,
why
I
does
mean-
he have those connections?
Okay,
He's
it
a
is 'cause he's a
football
football
player.
But I mean, he's not going to the party as I'm the quarterback of the Packers. He's going
Yes,
to the
he
party.
is.
He's like, I'm a part of this scene. I'm
I'm
famous.
spokesperson for State Farm. Get out of here. I want to host.
No,
Now he's getting into these parties.
Billy, when you're in the scene, you don't have to say what you do. People just know who you are.
Ken Jennings is not in the scene.
But if
is
she
the
doesn't,
point of
but
this.
if she doesn't know football, she's never watched a football game in her life. How would she know who Aaron Rodgers is?
Because she met him at a party and she was like, oh, what does that guy do? Oh, yeah, he was on Jeopardy last night. I don't know.
There is the remainder of the quote was, quote, I've yet to go to a football game, and before I met him, I had never seen one football game before. I just didn't really grow up with sports, especially American sports. It never really was on my radar. Guillermo, put it on the poll what Whittingham said. Is there a universe where an American-born person couldn't have seen a single football game? And also, let's just replay the sound that we wrestled away from ESPN of Keegan-Michael Key meeting Olivia Munn and then realizing that Aaron Rodgers was near Olivia Munn. And this somehow is what happens when someone does know who Aaron Rodgers is.
I was leaving my office one day at Sunset Gower Studios, and I went over to visit a friend of mine who was shooting on the TV show The Newsroom with Jeff Daniels. And I'm looking down the way, and I see Olivia Munn, the beautiful Olivia Munn. She sees me, and I see her, and she beelines for me.
Yes.
And she comes up, she goes, hi, I'm Liv, and I'm a big fan of your work. And I said, and I'm Keegan, I'm a big fan of your work and your face and everything else. and everything else that's standing right here, I'm a big fan of. And then there's this big kind of hulky, kind of hunky guy standing next to her. I'm not paying attention. She goes, oh, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend, Aaron.
No.
All of a sudden, I couldn't care less who Olivia Munn was. I'm like, oh, I just like look at the guy and I go, I don't even say hello. I just go, NFC North, and then I fall down.
Yes, that's a better story. Yes.
And then a week later, we have dinner together. So that made it even better. And then about 6 months after that, he does our Super Bowl special.
Another quote from Woodley before Rodgers. She dated a rugby player, and she said, quote, I fall in love with human beings based on who they are, not based on what they do or what sex they are.
Poppycock.
I guarantee if I texted every person in my cell phone contact list, I don't even want to say this because now you guys are going to make me do it. I would find at least one person who has not watched a full football game. Yes, they're aware of what football is. They know what a football is, but they've not seen a football game. There's at least one. There's someone out there.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Have you ever known anyone who uses the word poppycock? Yes or no?
Have you seen what's been going on with Olivia Munn? Because her name is getting dragged through all sorts of tabloids and internet gossip. She's being called a homewrecker because she is reportedly dating John Mulaney, who has since emerged after a very brief residency at the Troubadour in Los Angeles, announced a brief tour. That special has got to be incredible that he's working on right now because of his now estranged marriage that's headed towards divorce. And there is a very clear public relations campaign being painted right now in front of the media, and the fact that he went to rehab. He had problems with cocaine, and he had a whole bunch of life stuff. That kind of surprised a lot of people, I felt, because of just his general delivery.
Was it the suit? Was it simply that he performs in a suit that people couldn't have imagined that in rehab?
Well, his whole act is that he's a square. So, to go from that to cocaine rehab.
Where
which
do
is
I
like
buy the cocaine? You haven't even...
2 cocaines, please.
Yeah, I think it's so. Is it the suit or the act?
It's his voice.
Okay, so it's neither.
It's his voice, really.
That you can't imagine that being cocaine-y.
I'm looking for booger sugar.
I've got to admit that I too was surprised by that, and I don't know exactly why I was surprised by that. It can be all those things. It could be the voice and the suit, and it could be the act. It could be all of it.
Just all of him.
Yeah, but then I processed everything because I too was surprised because of said voice, and I realized, oh, wildly popular stand-up comedian. That's a hard life. Yeah, I could see how cocaine dependency comes out of that.
And so, what are the specifics? I mean, the internet is cruel. So,
well, his soon-to-be ex-wife made it very clear that this was John's decision. I can't even imagine what it must be like for her as she's going through.
That was rare. The statement where it's not mutually amicable. It is rare in celebrity that the statement coming out is, well, we're happy from publicists. We're going different directions, where one person is clearly publicly hurt and just tells everybody, look, my heart is broken here. I was not expecting any of this.
Puts it on John. This was John's decision. And then the internet gossip starts that John Mulaney and Olivia Munn are dating, and then people run wild with that stuff, probably fueled by pretty good sources, I would imagine. And now you've got John Mulaney. I think he's got to, like, that special. I didn't say it as a joke. It's going to be massive because he was one of these. There aren't very many rock star comedians that can maybe sell out an arena. Sebastian's kind of low-key one of those guys. But Mulaney was right there. Comedian, popular, smart, witty, and was becoming like, oh, he has a new special out. You got to see it. It was appointment television. And now, next level, transcending with this bit of controversy in the rehab scent. I can't imagine what it's going to be like.
This is a terrible thing to say, but that is a good career move.
What, cocaine?
In terms of making yourself more famous.
He's becoming more notorious.
Famous, infamous, the combination of them.
Yeah, there's a bit of there's darkness there. There's danger there. There's people are drawn to this type of energy. What I want to hear what he has to say. Is he going to address this? Is he going to keep it private? I didn't read any reports of what his residency was like at the Troubadour, but I imagine he always taps into his life experiences in his comedy.
What are you doing? Any pub is good pub? Is that kind of where you're headed?
Just famous and infamous, talented, and now dating famously, like all that combination. Woodley said she was taken aback. Like, she lives in Hollywood, sees what fame looks like. She said she was taken aback at what happened to her life the moment it became known that Aaron Rodgers was in it. Once you start merging those people, I remember that reading something about Matt Damon talking about how Brad Pitt envied Matt Damon because Matt Damon occasionally, and this was in the age of paparazzi, which was crazier than it is now. I think some of that has dissipated, but now it's just sort of been replaced by internet gossip. It's been replaced by something else. It's not quite paparazzi, although it still is.
Now everybody can be a paparazzi.
Overseas. And I remember Brad Pitt articulating an envy of Matt Damon because he had married not famous, and he could occasionally walk somewhere without being bothered, because by marrying Angelina Jolie, what happens is you supersize the fame, you supersize all of the stuff that happens around that. And so now drag impropriety scandal, we can talk about you, we could gossip. You just saw what happened in the segment we were talking about, where we're trying to talk about simply the art or the excellence of a golfer, and immediately the soap opera catches our attention and we're talking about something else. If you start adding multiples of fame, and I mean, first of all, didn't he just listening to me now, when I tell you rehab and now this, didn't he just get more interesting to you?
100%, yes.
And his art was plenty interesting. He's funny to listen to, but now it's not just funny, and it's not just square. And you got to imagine, Stugotz, one of the things that I was really looking forward to after seeing, you heard me marvel at Louis C.K. going on Saturday Night Live, braver than Bill Burr during what already feels like a different time, and hitting pedophilia and Palestine. And there was some third topic, like he just went after rail. He went after rail after rail, and he did it deftly. I was so looking forward to what the creative evolution of Louis C.K. was going to be coming out of that, but he can't come out of that, or he hasn't been able to come out of that. So I am looking forward to whatever. Man, comedy is produced. It's the dark arts. Like, that is a space where pain births all sorts of art. So yes, I'm looking forward to see what that births, how honest it is, and if he can find the funny in it at a time that it's so damn hard to find the funny, Stugotz. It takes so much talent right now to find the funny, just because your audience is going into the arena with this film of sadness and sickness and scared, like everything that's happening around us. We're so desperate to laugh, but everyone's got some sort of depression on them just by, the world feels like it's caving in on you.
Don't you think that saying that someone has a drug addiction makes them more interesting is kind of dangerous, though? Like, is it not in a sense glorifying that, or even like legitimizing the trope that someone has to have something difficult that they go through to be interesting or to be like funny or to impress us more?
For me, it's the juxtaposition of, wait a minute, I thought you were something different because of the packaging. Like your whole act was something that was totally different. I don't know. Did Tiger Woods get more interesting with sex addiction and drug addiction and going from famous to infamous, from somebody who could do who could also give us an inspirational tale? Man, we love a redemption story. We love a redemption story.
Yeah, but I think what Jess is saying is she's concerned, like you're saying, hey, do drugs, you're more interesting. Go to rehab, you're more, and you're not saying that, but it does make you more interesting.
I'm saying scandal, all of it. I'm saying humanity, mistakes. I'm saying you're not just a suit and a voice and an act. There's something else there that's human and flawed.
So to close the loop, Shailene Woodley's full of shit, right?